How's it going, everyone? Austin Honecker here. I just want to come on here for a while and give my review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark from last night, which was November 9th, 2021. I gotta say, it was awesome from start to finish. For the matches, match 1, it was the Gunn Club, which are Billy, Austin, and Colton Gunn, versus the Dark Order, which are Evil Uno, Alex Reynolds, and Colt Cabana. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Gunn Club went over cause Austin Gunn pinned Evil Uno with a roll-up. Match 2, match 2, it was Riho versus Heidi Howitzer. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Riho went over with the diving foot stomp. Match 3, it was Too Fast, Too Fuego, which are Fuego 1 and Fuego 2, versus The Factory, which are Aaron Solo and Nick Comoroto. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Too Fast, Too Fuego, went over because Fuego 1 pinned Aaron Solo with the Tornado DDT. Match 4, it was the Inner Circle, which are Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager versus Coco Lane and Luke Langley. That was a great match. But the ending to it, the Inner Circle went over cause Sammy Guevara pinned Coco Lane with the Swanton Bomb. Well, after the match, the Men of the Year, which are Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, came out and attacked Sammy Guevara from behind and beat the shit out of him, and then Jake Hager came into the ring to try to come to Sammy Guevara's aid, but the numbers game was too much, so Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page were beating the shit out of Jake Hager as well, but Proud and Powerful, which are Santana and Ortiz, came out to the ring and beat the shit out of the Men of the Year, which are Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, and knocked them out of the ring. And so the Inner Circle, which are Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz, stood tall in the ring, while the Men of the Year, which are Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, were outside the ring, staring the Inner Circle down and everything. That was cool. Match 5, it was the best. Match 5, it was the Best Friends, which are Chuck Taylor, Orange Cassidy, and Wheeler Yuta versus Darian Bankston, Davey Vega, and Camaro Jackson. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Best Friends went over cause Orange Cassidy pinned Darian Bankston with the Awful Waffle from Chuck Taylor. Well, after the match, Davey Vega tried to attack Orange Cassidy, but Orange Cassidy dodged the attack and executed the Orange Punch and laid Davey Vega out. And then the Best Friends, which are Chuck Taylor, Orange Cassidy, and Wheeler Yuta, continued to celebrate and everything. That was cool. That was match 5, by the way. Match 6, it was Dante Martin versus Frankie Kazarian. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Dante Martin went over with the double jump moonsault. Well, after the match, as Dante Martin and Leo Rush were celebrating, Dante Martin was trying to show some sportsmanship towards Frankie Kazarian, but Frankie Kazarian got pissed off because where Leo Rush assisted Dante Martin in beating Frankie Kazarian and everything, so Frankie Kazarian left the ring and Dante Martin and Leo Rush continued to celebrate and everything. That was cool. And also, the thing with the Best Friends celebrating and Orange Cassidy attacking Davey Vega after the match between the Best Friends versus Darian Bankston, Davey Vega, and Camaro Jackson was cool. Okay, that was match 6. Okay. Match 7, it was Thunder Rosa, Chris Statlander, and Ryo Mizunami versus Rebel, Jamie Hayter, and Emi Sakura. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Thunder Rosa, Chris Statlander, and Ryo Mizunami went over cause Thunder Rosa pinned Rebel with the Fire Thunder Driver. But after the match, Jamie Hayter and Emi Sakura attacked Thunder Rosa and Ryo Mizunami after the match, and Emi Sakura was beating the shit out of Ryo Mizunami while Mai Saruga and Lulu Pencil were holding Ryo Mizunami down, and Jamie Hayter was beating the shit out of Thunder Rosa, and Chris Statlander and Rebel were brawling, and Chris Statlander was beating the shit out of Rebel. Well, Ruby Soho came out Ruby Soho came out, and Emi Sakura, Jamie Hayter, Mai Saruga, and Lulu Pencil retreated. Well, Jamie Hayter, Emi Sakura, Lulu Pencil, and Mai Saruga retreated, and Rebel ended up retreating as well. And Ruby Soho and Chris Statlander stared each other down, and then Ruby Soho left the ring, and then Thunder Rosa, Chris Statlander, and Ryo Mizunami continued to celebrate and everything. That was cool. Match 8, it was Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty versus 2.0, which are Matt Lee and Jeff Parker. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty went over because Matt Sydal pinned Jeff Parker by the lightning spiral. But after the match, as Matt Sydal, Lee Moriarty, and Matt Sydal's brother, Mike Sydal, were celebrating, Leo Rush and Dante Martin came out on the stage, and so Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty were in the ring, and Leo Rush and Dante Martin were on the stage staring each other down and everything. That was cool. Okay. Match 9, it was Nyla which that was cool. Match 9, well, that whole thing with Matt Sydal, Lee Moriarty, Dante Martin, and Leo Rush was cool, by the way. Match 9, it was Nyla Rose versus Tootie Lynn. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Nyla Rose went over with the diving knee drop. Match 10, it was Andrade El Idolo versus Warhorse. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Andrade El Idolo went over with the El Idolo. Match 11, it was Team Taz, which are Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, versus the Dark Order, which are 5 and 10. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Team Taz went over cause Ricky Starks pinned 5. Ricky Starks pinned 5 with the World's Strongest Slam from Powerhouse Hobbs. Match 12, it was Ty Conti versus Miranda Gordy. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Ty Conti went over with the DDT. Match 13, it was Wardlow versus Ryan Mantell. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, match 13, it was, match 13, it was Wardlow versus Ryan Mantell. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Wardlow went over with the casualty of war. But after the match, Shawn Spears attacked Ryan Mantell with the C4, and Wardlow and Shawn Spears celebrated Wardlow's victory and everything. That was cool, and that was after the match, by the way. Match 14, it was Darby Allin versus QT Marshall. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Darby Allin went over with the coffin drop. Well, before the match, when QT Marshall came out to the ring with a microphone and cut a promo talking about how Sting disrespected him on AEW Dynamite by kicking him in the nuts, and how Sting and Darby Allin were best friends, but QT Marshall was talking about how he had a best friend as well, and that was MJF, and QT Marshall was saying that MJF told him to kick Darby Allin's ass and soften him up before Full Gear. And QT Marshall was saying that MJF was saying that even though the city of St. Louis, Missouri sucks, still go out there and soften Darby Allin up and kick his ass for me and everything. And then QT Marshall was talking about how he agreed to do it and how he was going to beat the shit out of Darby Allin and everything as well. That was cool. And match 15, which was the main event, it was Christian Cage and the Jurassic Express, which are Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, versus the Hardy Family Office, which are Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, and The Blade. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Christian Cage and the Jurassic Express went over cause Jungle Boy made The Blade tap out to the snare trap. Now, there were no promos or segments on this episode of All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark. So besides the matches, Taz and Excalibur done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. And wait. The referees for the event were Mike Posey, Rick Knox, Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, and Aubrey Edwards. Okay. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between the Gunn Club versus the Dark Order. That was Aubrey Edwards, by the way. Mike Posey refereed the match between Riho versus Heidi Howitzer. Aubrey Edwards that was Mike Posey, by the way. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Too Fast, Too Fuego versus The Factory. Paul Turner refereed the match between The Inner Circle versus Coco Lane and Luke Langley. It's Paul Turner, by the way. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between The Best Friends versus Darian Bankston, Davey Vega, and Camaro Jackson. That was Bryce Remsburg, by the way. Rick Knox refereed the match between Dante Martin versus Frankie Kazarian. Paul Turner refereed the match between Thunder Rosa, Chris Statlander, and Ryo Mizunami versus Emi Sakura, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter. That was Paul Turner, by the way. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty versus 2.0. That was Bryce Remsburg, by the way. Mike Posey refereed the match between Nyla Rose versus Tootie Lynn. That was Mike Posey, by the way. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Andrade El Idolo versus Warhorse. That was Aubrey Edwards, by the way. Rick Knox refereed the match between Team Taz versus the Dark Order. Rick Knox refereed the match between Ty Conti versus Miranda Gordy. Mike Posey, that was Rick Knox, by the way. Mike Posey refereed the match between Wardlow versus Ryan Mantell. That was Mike Posey, by the way. Paul Turner refereed the match between Darby Allin versus QT Marshall. And that was Paul Turner, by the way. And Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Christian Cage and the Jurassic Express versus the Hardy Family Office. All the referees done awesome as usual. Now, the match card that's been announced for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite tonight, it's going to be Bryan Danielson versus Rocky Romero, Pac versus Dax Harwood, Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty versus Leo Rush and Dante Martin, Thunder Rosa, Anna Jay, and Ty Conti versus Britt Baker, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter. Those are the matches that have been announced so far. Now, besides the matches that have been announced, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page will have Kenny Omega and Hangman Page will have a contract signing for their AEW title match for Full Gear. So the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite looks like it's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see it. Looking forward to it. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here for a while and give them a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark from last night, which was November 9th, 2021. Like I said, it was awesome from start to finish. And with that being said, my name is Austin Honecker, and I will catch your ass down the road. Peace out.